Hi everyone. This evening I have another project to share with you. This is on my 2017 Mercedes-Benz GLS 550 4MATIC, and I'm going to lead with a disclaimer because this project, in my past 20 years being a car guy with other car guys and car gals, and there's been a lot of up and down controversy on doing something like this to a car in the first place, let alone doing it to when I first bought it, $109,000 Mercedes-Benz SUV. So this car is, since it's 2017, long paid for, done. But this car is used primarily for off-road, mountain trails, desert trails, partnering up with Jeep communities. They're really nice. They let me tag along to a lot of stuff. So as you'll see throughout this video where I showed where all of this is installed, you'll see evidence of how deep this car's been in water, mud, and evidence that it's been just about everywhere. But off that subject, I got all of my products from Amazon after researching the best company with the best app to do LED lighting kits for the exterior of the vehicle. So there's the Govee label there. And before I get into the rest of that, this is a little side note that we can go over towards the end of the video. It's by, what was that? Jackcom. I got that on Amazon a while back too. It's an NFC chip. And you can get a couple of these and strategically place them inside or outside the vehicle and just put your top of your phone. I'm not sure about Android, but iPhone, put it right at the top and it'll read the NFC, and whatever lighting systems you have on the car that are configured to that specific NFC chip that gets read, tapping your phone on it automatically turns it on. You can have another chip stashed away a little bit away from that one and have that one programmed to turn the whole thing off. There's Siri commands for this with the Govee app to control your exterior accent LEDs, the kits. And I just recently ordered a outdoor light show box. It's like a small little handheld disc that has a built-in microphone to listen for music. And you can pair up all of your LED kits through the outdoor light show box, disc device. And you can have it do crazy music themes because it knows which kits are all there. So it'll strategically send commands to change the colors or schemes or whatever in a fashion that makes it look very unison. So I'm looking forward to really diving into that instead of having to turn them all on and off individually and change the huge multitude of settings and options in the Govee app that you can do with these LED strips. So the first kit I installed is a 4-strip LED kit. I believe the two bigger strips are 48-inch and the two smaller strips are 24-inch. So on the top here, I did one 48-inch strip, and just below this lip, I have a 24-inch strip going there. And then the third strip from that kit runs along the whole, most of the top of the front crash bar. And the fourth one, get a good view in there, is underneath the bottom of the crash bar. So quickly on placement, I've learned through some research and some forums of people that, you know, do this kind of work and watch some pictures on internet and whatnot. And LED placement is crucial for the overall outcome of how the glow will look. So I did everything I could to eliminate direct line of sight to the actual LEDs themselves while standing in front of the vehicle within, you know, X amount of feet. And so that when you're driving down the road, drivers sitting in their cars looking at your car coming towards them, they can't see the actual LED. They just see that awesome glow coming from beneath, or not beneath, from behind your bumpers and grills and whatnot. So that was a lot of trial and error, a lot of tape up, mock up, turn them on, turn them off, put the bumper on, take the bumper off. It took quite a while, a little over 4 days, to install all of the lighting accent kits on this car. Yeah, and this bumper, I took it off because, again, so that I could make this video and really outline where these things are. The other thing that I was contemplating was trying to build or construct out of, you know, some molding products to get a rough design for some brackets and load them up in a 3D printer and attach them up here behind. You know, see this part of the back of the grill here is not, you can't see through. So you could attach some custom brackets to hold the LEDs just out of sight. But one, that would have took quite a bit longer. And I don't know if that would have been as durable for me, especially with the main use of this vehicle. And the other thing from, you know, my engineer mind said, hey, why are we going to add a ton of extra wiring all over the front bumper cover when, in order to get it off now, you just have 3 quick connectors and then the standard hardware holding it up. So I didn't want it to become a complicated task and a lot of potential fixes dealing with lighting and wiring covering the inside of the bumper, and you got to deal with a ton of stuff to get that off to service your system or change an LED strip. I wanted to make it easy to still remove the bumper. So that's why I went with all of my mounting on the car as much as possible. There is actually 2 LED strips mounted on the bumper, but they are on the bottom, and that's for the underglow kit. You can see the looms right here. For those, we'll get down there in a minute. So the center, it illuminates the this whole upper assembly of the grille really nicely, and the lower section of the grille, it took the 3 LEDs above the crash bar to really get the front grille to kind of pop, and the 1 LED on the bottom, because I was able to actually point it straight forward, and the line of sight to the LEDs is, you would have to basically sit down on the floor and then look through the bumper, and then you'll see the LEDs. So that came out actually fairly good to illuminate this larger area down here of the grill. And then what I have over here on the two outside edges for the fog light covers, I have two 8-inch LED strips there. And I have two there. And these grills, normally on the GLS, 550, 17 and 18, these are called fog light covers. You know, there. But Mercedes does not officially make fog lights for the 17 or the 18. It is not, there is no part number you can get or buy from Mercedes to put a fog light system in this bumper on these 2 years. Because as you may or may not know, the GLS 550 is kind of a outlier because it was only 17 and only 18. Before that, it was a GL 550. After that, it's a GLS 580. So a little bit of a random 2-year car for Mercedes. Not their norm, but the things this car's been through, and the biggest investment I've only had to make in the past 7 years is a repair on coolant turbo lines, which is extensive, separating the body from the car, having a rolling frame with the engine and tranny on it, do the repairs, pair the car back together, body down on the frame, do all that. $4,000 in labor just to do that work, and parts were only $1,000. But quick look at the engine bay. Yeah, you're not getting 20 inches down there with any tool. You could probably get a screwdriver down there. You're not getting your arm down there. You're not getting any decent kind of tools down there. And you're definitely not getting around to the back of the engine where these coolant lines are all attached to the engine itself, not on the sides or anything like that. So long story, but in 7 years, besides regular maintenance, that's the only major repair I've had to do. So back to the LEDs and this fog light nonsense that Mercedes calls these fog light covers, but never designed a fog light system for it. I've made another video discussing these headlight assemblies for the 17 and 18. It's an LED. I can get the light there just right for you. LED intelligent light system. So in this car and most Mercedes cars that can or do have some kind of fog light system available, there's a button next to the light switch. You can press for fog light. This car does have it as well. And the intelligent LED system is super smart, uses multiple cameras, sensors in the front of the car and the rear of the car, steering data, also transmits excuse me, into the headlight system, because the headlights move up, down, left, right, turning the wheel, whatever. They're responding to all of that input. So long story short, the fog light button activates a feature inside of the LED lights to create, or not create, but redesignate some angles of the LED beams to project down and out more like fog lights. So these LEDs have an array of, I believe, roughly 24 LEDs, and they're all individually controlled by the computer. So lots of cool stuff about that. I have a video going over all of the features of the LED intelligent system. So what I did to my fog light covers, as you can see through it, I got all of the honeycomb, the centers. I made it a honeycomb panel, not a solid panel like it is when you first get the car from the factory. These covers are only like 25, 30 bucks. So I experimented on quite a few, and I got ones that look fairly decent to put on as a almost final step of completion, because I needed to do some more, a little bit of engineering design to see what else I needed to work with these LEDs coming through those fog lights or fog light cover area, now that the honeycomb is cleared. So placement of those lights was, there wasn't many options. As you can see, go up, there's nothing. You go down, you got a bunch of wire harnesses and major connection points for the inner fender well and the bumper cover and all the mounting. So I really didn't have much of a choice but to put them on the crash bar and kind of facing forward. And the outcome of that was, standing pretty much anywhere, they were clear as day. You can see the LEDs. So I said, okay, let's get some plastic. Let's do some plastic welding onto these modified grills and put these strips on as an idea that line up with the center of the strips, the LED strips, and I made it almost wide enough. I was close. I probably should have went another 1/4 to 1/2 inch wider on these plastic strips to really ensure complete, how do you want to say it? Make it wider enough so that standing or at different angles or whatnot, you wouldn't be able to see those LEDs themselves through these grills here on the bottom corner of the bumper. So I've got a final design in my head, and so I'm going to make one last mock-up of these, and I got a buddy with a robotic printer and a scanner, so he'll be able to put this in, scan it in, and I'm going to get these back as a one piece complete, and the LEDs can stay right where they are, and we're going to make the strips actually go the whole length and make them look more like an accent feature, not something last minute as it looks right now. But that's how you test and trial and error until you get what you want. And I'm looking forward to that final step. But I still wanted to share this whole system with you guys. So where we're at right now, center strip kit, 248 inch, 224 inch. Fog light cover kit is one kit, comes with a left and a right, basically 2 strips on each side, 8-inch strip, or 8 inches for each strip, with plenty of wiring, plenty of cabling. And then what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to shift the bumper up onto the car so we can have a peek down at the third system installed, which is the underglow body kit that goes under the front bumper, the 2 side steps on the car, and the rear bumper as well. So it is a 360 towards the outer edge of the vehicle underglow body kit, in a way. Not the old school long tubes that we used to do 20 years ago on cars to make them light up at night. So getting down here to see underneath. So ignore all the off-roading damage, but I got the strip started here roughly. So we still got, a little bit over here before you get to the wheel. Probably could have got a kit maybe with a little bit longer strips to use in the front and the rear. The front and the rear. This is real quick. This kit is a left and right setup. The front strips are kind of short, 24 inch. This is a big car. And then it's got two more 24 inch strips that are wired very close together for the side of the vehicle, which makes sense. And then a longer cable hooked up to the last strip that goes in the rear. So, I probably could have got another kit, cut it up, rebuilt it with longer strips in the front and the rear to kind of match how the side came out, but so far it's not bad. So right now here you see a lot of the wire loom. That's only because I do have the whole front of the car disassembled. There's a whole panel missing from here, and all this cabling needs to get put back up because I had to undo all of its mounting to safely remove the bumper for some other work. So these two strips here, pretty solid. And then the cabling from the front on each side, I had to take all the wheels off. The car was up on 4 jack stands. Took the inner wheel wells out, both front and rear, so I could gain access to locations where factory harnesses are running, so I could safely put this wiring in with the loom, tape, and everything, and get it all stashed up in hidden places that are safe. So a lot of disassembly, a lot of prep, a lot of measuring. I did have to modify the end of both sides of this harness because of the length of the vehicle to accommodate the last two sensors in the rear. So this wiring is all protected as nice as I can, and mounted, tucked away, hidden as best as possible. And then now we can move to the side. So we'll go over here to the passenger side real quick. And we got, see here, here's where the wire harness comes back out into the open, just enough to get to the strip. And then the strips are a little bit longer on the sides, which are nice. And it runs down the length of the side step on both sides of the vehicle. So over here on the driver's side, we're going to have almost an identical install. And there's the strip running down. There's a small break in there. I'm trying to figure out a solution to eliminate the very tiny loop that was created by placement of the strips, because they are wired very close together, but not close enough. So I may need to cut and modify some of that wire there. But then again, that runs down the whole length of the side step. And then when we get to the rear, I got the rear coming way buried through from the exit of the side step in front of the rear wheel here. It runs up inside the paneling up and up over and beyond clear of all the hot items back here with the exhaust. And everything is super loomed and taped up and secured real nice. So this strip, I've got it running from the outer edge here, and it runs to the right to the back of the hitch, and then the same for the other side. So what we can do now real quick, so you can get a quick view of how this came out, is we'll quickly eliminate white light, which will only take a second. And we'll go to our app. And I actually already have a shortcut set up that has all the devices connected and programmed to what I want them to do with one button, turn on. So I just hit the on button, and all the LEDs turn on. And this is the outcome of the front. Let me give a quick close to the hood. Get rid of the foam blocking the hood. And this is how I was able to get this to come out. Now I'm still working on some color ideas, some color schemes. So I've been playing around with it a little bit, but and in addition, the placement right now of the bumper is not in 100% position. So you can kind of see the LEDs there on that that area that I'm modifying, the fog light covers, with some kind of design strips to incorporate into these covers. So that's still work in progress, but we're car people. That's what we do. So what I wanted to show here is, that's the center lights. So here's the app. So we have tons of options here at the top. Scenes, music. It'll, listen to music and then move it to that. And then I have a couple colors that I'm experimenting with. I think I'm going to be, kind of be my favorites for just random times of driving. And then you can program these all into a group like I showed a minute ago, where you can have it on the, as a shortcut on your iPhone, on the not desktop, sorry about that, the, home screen. And you can even do voice commands with Siri. And then you can also do, like I explained a little bit ago, not in great detail yet, but the NFC option. And I've got a lot of ideas for that. You can even get to where you have those little NFC powered rings that you wear and it monitors stuff. You can also program that. The phone will read that NFC signature, and anytime you put your phone next to it, it'll execute that command. So I mean, there's just tons of options and ideas floating around in my engineer head here, but I'm just setting up everything to a quick, consistent look. There. So now we can, you know, kind of see a quick view. So one thing I did notice about the Govee lights, the kits do have a little bit of variance. It's kind of surprising, actually, in a way. If you notice the center, you know, I picked the same color for all three programs, but the center comes out a little bit lighter of the color I picked, it feels like. But that level of that color, or the hue of that color, comes out looking like that on both the underbody kit and the center kit. But these little 8-inch strips, they seem to come out a little brighter. So I'm contemplating changing those LED strips out for a different strip. And I might go a little bit bigger, or not bigger, but longer, and maybe add just a little bit more lighting in this middle grill, just to give it a little more glow right here around these two grill elements here. Bottom looks fine. So maybe a little bit longer, maybe run another 48-inch from the edge of the crash bumper all the way in on both sides, top and bottom kind of thing, and still have it line up with the final design of these accent items that are going to be on the final honeycomb 3D printed fog light covers. And that might take care of that. The one thing I was able to do with the fact that these kits are they all communicate together on the app. They're all Bluetooth. But if you notice already, the color, I can get it close with tweaking some individual adjustment settings in the app here, like brightness and whatnot, and get it to be a little more representative of the color I was trying to work with. Some sort of greenish, tealish, bluish color. You know, as many of us know, any kind of accent lighting on the outside of the car can't be blue or red. You know, you're going to get popped for that. And you fix a ticket, and if the cop is really not happy with what you're doing with your lighting, you know, and they think you're impersonating, who knows where that could end up. So, yeah. So trying to pick a color. My car is a canvasite metallic blue from Mercedes, so trying to find something that blends. But as you can see, passenger side here, you know, it glowed out kind of nicely. Same in the rear. Obviously you can see I've got it up in off-road mode, so I had clearance to get under the car. Really nice when it comes to working on it. I don't have to jack it up all the time. I can just crawl under it and do whatever I need to do, lower it back down and drive away. Makes it real convenient when you have an issue while you're off-road, by the way. You know, I always bring plenty of tools and supplies, but when you can lift your car up this high from factory and it's a Mercedes, you know, getting under there is very convenient. So, but that's how it came out. And, you know, the other item that I bought is like I said, the light show box, which is like a little puck. I actually have that here in the car. So I've just got it hooked up to my USB port. and so it just kind of stays charged. It'll last for quite a few hours. Something like 12 hours, and then it goes into like a standby, and it'll sit in a standby for a lot longer. And you figure the car will keep this charged without causing much issue. But the cool thing about this is, like I said, it can listen for music and take your connected devices and sync them into a uniformed or synchronized pattern that takes the input from the music and makes the lighting scheme on the car look amazing. I found some other videos of similar projects where it came out pretty awesome. So this is cool because it's wireless. If you're at a car event or whatnot, I've got one coming up in June. I can just have this in my pocket. I can hit the button, I can turn it on, I can set it next to the band at the event, and the lighting will react to whatever the band's playing. Lots of cool things. I think this will add on to it, being wireless, and it acts kind of like a Bluetooth node hub. They do almost everything they do is Bluetooth, and you can add a lot of stuff, a lot of products from them, and create actions and whatnot like you do on Alexa, and have one device turns on and then that triggers this other one to do this and this and that. Those features are being utilized and created in this kind of system. So I wanted something I could have a lot of options, a lot of programming capabilities, a lot of features, flexibility, and then the other cool things like hidden NFC chips. And you walk up to your car, hide one under your emblem on the front of your hood, just set your phone down, at a car meet, and all of a sudden all your lighting turns on and starts doing this and that. And everybody's like, whoa, how'd that happen? Oh, well, I've got little NFC chips stashed away in my phone. Will activate or deactivate wherever I place it. That's pretty cool. And it doesn't cost much. That chip was only like $7. And it paired up just fine. So the Govee products, highly recommend. They have a really good return and replace policy. So you buy something, you're not happy with it, they'll send you out a different version of the kit that has either more features or is different in some way, or an upgraded one. And like I said, their customer service, they're on the money every time. So, hope this doesn't offend too many car people, that this is something that I have done to a Mercedes SUV. But, I think cars should speak about, who their owners are, what they like, and, want to show off some cool stuff like this. Like I said earlier in the video, this was controversial for quite a long time back in the day, after, the different versions of car enthusiasts. Some would adopt, some wouldn't. Some hated it, some loved it. And, but it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just like to make videos of projects that I've done or might do, or see how it comes out. Quite honestly, when I got done with all this work after like 4.5 days of installing all this, when I pulled it out in the cul-de-sac where I live, and the street light was actually out that night, which was even better. So I had just full black around me. I thought I was going to laugh, turn the car off, leave the keys in it, and go in the house and go to bed. But I actually was good with the way it came out, you know. And having all that control capability with the Bluetooth and the different options and the voice commands and this and that. The only other thing that I would try to figure out how to incorporate into this is a Wi-Fi device, bridge device, that would allow the Bluetooth system to communicate with that, and then have that Wi-Fi bridge device of some sort connected to my in-car 4G Wi-Fi network through Mercedes. And then I would be able to communicate with the light system from my phone while I'm at work or wherever. You know, I don't have to be close with the Bluetooth, but the Bluetooth on these, surprisingly, is still a good 20, 25 feet away, even with the modules buried in certain places within the car. Because the kits come with the, you know, the LED strips all pre-wired. Everything's all already pre-wired. So you have a controller box at the end. You got to get power ground. On these, I did wire them to constant power, constant ground, and I control them with, you know, these numerous options. And then I do have some 4 8-inch LED strips in the interior to create some accent lighting under the kick panels and the seats. And they're programmed to operate like this, but they are hooked up to switched power. So speaking of switched power, this Mercedes-Benz, the GLS 550, the 17, the 18, has 2 fairly accessible, easily accessible switched ignition power. And I'm going to make a short video on it. It only take probably a couple minutes. But under the wood grain panel right here, if you can see my light and my laser, there's a cigarette lighter under there. I don't smoke, but it's there. And then there's one back, you know, on the back of the console, down on the floorboard there, where you can, you know, plug in a 12-volt cigarette lighter charger or whatnot. So inside the center console, you go way down there and take out everything in the bottom and the rubber piece in the bottom. There's 2 T30 bolts at the bottom of there. And inside the, you see, I just leave my key there. I live in a neighborhood where the car stays unlocked, and I leave my keys in the car 24/7 pretty much. So pretty awesome. But you take out that rubber insert there, and going at an angle underneath this center console here with your air conditioning controls, there's 2 more T30s buried in there. You'll need a 10-15 inch extension on a 3/8 drive ratchet, and you can get those 2 out. Yeah, and then this console pulls back about 6-8 inches, and then you lift it up from the back, and you'll be able to lift up the front a little bit once you get clear of the bottom of the air conditioning panel. And then either cigarette lighter port, there's a black wire with a blue stripe. And the only thing I recommend, if going to be utilizing that for any kind of project, accessory power that you want things to turn on and off with the ignition, you know, because a car like this, you don't want to install a bunch of switches. You know, that's not That's not the thing anymore. You know, we don't have a bunch of hidden switches that we're, you know, turning things on and off after we're getting settled in the car. You know, so getting good switch power and using a relay. There's good ground, good battery source under the center console once you move it, under the radio, but way down on the transmission hump. There's some wiring access there. And yeah, you can use that to trigger all the different accessories or things you want to install. You know, if TVs are still a thing, you know, there's where you can get your switch power. You know, changing out the command system. You know, don't recommend that, but you could. You know, you can get a lot of your powers and switch powers and whatnot around that area. But center console is the way to go. Quick and dirty. T-tap into one of the wires there, or poke solder and shrink wrap. A little harder to do under the center console because it's kind of a pain to get it the rest of the way out. So if you're just going in for a quick T-tap on 12-volt switched, I don't see that as a big deal. It's going to be on its own fuse line anyways because it's a cigarette lighter in the first place. And if you use a relay, you're not putting any strain on that draw on that circuit. So, you know, yeah, so that about wraps up the Govee systems that I installed. Underglow body kit, which is an 8-piece. The center glow body kit that I put in is 224-inch, 248-inch. And currently, we're sitting with the 2 8-inch and 2 8-inch on the fog light sides and awaiting a final design and 3D print of the new fog light grill inserts to complete the look. And yeah, next chance I get when I'm off-roading, I'll turn it into cop lights mode, red and blue, flashing all over the place because I'm off-road and it's not illegal, and make a quick short video, one of the YouTube shorts, you know, 10 seconds or whatever, me flying down a dirt road with cop lights going all crazy in the front of this car. It'd be pretty cool. So anyways, I think that'll do it for this video and for tonight. And there's another video that I just put out just real quick about a real hot topic with Mercedes cars that have Distronic radar or Distronic Plus radar. I won't get too much into it because I already did on another video, but I am an engineer. I'm working with some other engineers that understand radar principles a little better than I do. And this, for the past 6 months, we've been working on this, and we've been working with the manufacturer of this device. Mercedes doesn't make this. It's another company in another country that makes this module and configures it to the standards and settings that Mercedes needs it to be at for it to incorporate into the car. So I don't know if you know, but most of cars manufactured today are made from 2,000-3,000 parts from 80 countries and multiple companies. But, you know, they'll slap their Mercedes brand on it and upcharge you for the same product, you know, 200-400%. And you can, if you take the time and research, dig down, you can actually find the company that manufactures them, just not publicly. For example, my wife's BMW X5 M Series that we found came from Canada. It was one of 1,500 sold in North America as a whole in 2018. And it's only one of 157 X5Ms with that paint and interior configuration in all of 2018. So pretty rare. Took quite a few months to find that kind of car, but long story short, the suspension stuff on that car was damaged from the salt. It lived most of its life in Canada. So after research and some phone calls and whatnot, and calling other auto parts distributors over in like England and the UK, I got to Limforder. Limforder privately makes all the suspension components, upper control arms, lower control arms, trailing arms, all that for that car. And BMW just has them do the stamp, that puts the molded stamp in there that says it's a BMW part instead of a Limforder part. So I rebuilt front and rear end of that entire suspension for about $2,500. And the dealer wanted, I think it came out to a final estimate of $22,000 to rebuild the suspension on that car, including the airbags and the air pump. So us car guys and gals, we're not going to let them get that kind of money out of us, no matter what. We're going to find a way to make that happen. So, never hurts to spend the time to research, make phone calls, think outside the box. You can find the people who make these things, and then you can find someone else they distribute the same product to that you can buy it or source it and get it at 3/4, 7/8 less of the cost you would have to buy these things at the dealer, So anyways, don't mean to go off on a tangent, but lots of cool stuff to talk about with the cars and whatnot, and really excited for the illuminated star being possible with Distronic or Distronic Plus radar systems on Mercedes. And yeah, that video is out there for the initial sort of teaser, and with some disclaimers and whatnot, and some warnings about the 1.5 minute video floating all over the place, all over the forums, about taking that module out of its location and moving it around on the grill 3, 4, 5 inches off center. So I went into that pretty in depth on how that's really dangerous, and nobody should be doing that just to put in a illuminated star on the front of their car. They're risking their lives and the safety of any passengers. So me and some of my other engineer colleagues, we are doing our best and being super dedicated to finding a solution that we won't officially claim, but we found a way to make it safe, as that system will still function 100% as designed, but we can get this star in there and avoid that small circuitry that the radar can't see through. So anyways, check that out one of these nights. And yeah, we'll just keep on trucking on that. We're probably roughly a couple weeks, we think. We're waiting for a little bit more, but we're not too far away from doing a final test. My car's been the guinea pig for months, so hopefully we'll get to put this together and leave it together and never take it apart again. But hey, we're car people. That's what we do. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.